everyone. Greetings. Happy Wednesday. Welcome to the Steve Deace Show here, live and on demand on Blaze TV, radio, and podcast. Merry Christmas to all. And to all, a happy special 2-hour edition of Buy, Sell, or Hold. I am Steve Deace. He's Todd Erzin. He is Aaron McIntyre. We're brought to you by the new film Homestead, hitting theaters this Christmas, December 20th, to be precise. Starring Neil McDonough, well-acted film. Had a chance to watch it about a week ago, thanks to Angel Pictures for the screener. Really enjoyed it. It's about what happens, the aftermath of America after a nuclear blast devastates the West Coast, destabilizes the U.S. government, and a group of people come together on a homestead trying to figure out a path forward to maintain the truth, justice, and the American way. If you want to catch this movie, I think you'll really enjoy it, but you really will enjoy if you pre-order your tickets at angel.com/Steve, and here's why. You'll get entered into a $300,000 sweepstakes that includes one Bitcoin, which in the not-too-distant future might be worth $300,000 itself. All right, a fully furnished tiny home from Box House, a custom Polaris OHV from Sparks Motor, and everything else that you'd need to start your own homestead. You get entered into that contest and that sweepstakes if you get your tickets, you pre-order your tickets for Homestead in theaters nationwide this Christmas at angel.com/Steve. Again, get entered and get your tickets right now at angel.com/Steve. I mentioned that today we have a very special 2-hour edition of Buy, Sell, or Hold. We're going to empty the tank on your Buy, Sell, or Hold submissions today. And we're doing something we probably should have thought to do a long time ago next hour. We're going to bring on the weekly prophet of woe and lamentation. Daniel Horowitz is going to sit in on an entire hour of Buy, Sell, or Hold submissions. Why do I think Daniel's going to go full Danny DeVito in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest? Hold. Okay? Right. But it'll be hilarious to see him here. Until then, you'll have to deal with us. And you guys, of course, you know the rules. Aaron has the propositions. Todd and I have seen nary a one. We will decide, are we going to buy it? Are we going to sell it? Since it is the Yuletide season, the season of miracles and glad tidings of great joy, right? No judgment, mercy mild. All right, you are allowed to use holds. You can even use as many of them as you want. All right. I mean, just understand, though, you're going to have to live with that stigma. You're going to take that home with you over the Christmas holidays and that long break we've got coming up after Friday's program. And that's just going to be eating at your conscience that you came on here in front of literally 20 or 30 people and completely punked yourself out and played yourself out and emasculated yourself. So, I mean, if you can handle living with that shame and carrying that baggage with you along the Christmas holidays and ruining the event for your family, then you're more than welcome to use as many holds as you would like. But that's going to be on you.
Well, the drones will probably put us out of our misery sooner rather than later.
That is, man, that story, dude. So, by the way, today's overtime. Drone
update!
We're going to ask you guys, what do you think the drones are? All right, and I took a poll on this on our X account yesterday, and we'll take a look at the options I gave you and which options you guys chose the most, and we'll respond. That'll be today's overtime at blazetv.com/Deace. Don't miss it. If you're a Blaze TV subscriber or you want to become one, today could be your day. All right, and you get a discount when you go to blazetv.com/Deace. All right, Aaron, let's roll.
All right, before we get to submissions, I have in my possession here something that's either going to get me fired or maybe get me fired.
Yeah, yes, or fired, yes.
I asked Grock.
Oh, no.
That is X's AI chat box. On fun mode, by the way. Very politically incorrect. I asked Grock to roast each of us.
Oh, no.
And here they are in order of how good I think they are. And Todd is last. Grock had a lot to say about Todd. Much of it very mean. Nice. I'm starting with mine because I think it's very endearing to me, actually. Makes me look really good. Makes you look kind of bad, though, Steve.
Of course.
Yours is in the middle. Todd's will be the last. Buy, sell, or hold. These are good roasts, starting with me. Aaron McIntyre, the unsung hero of the Steve Deace Show, or should we say the unsung, well, you get the idea. Here's a roast for the man behind the scenes who's probably wondering how his life choices led him here. First off, being the producer for Steve Deace is like being the janitor at Clown College. You clean up a lot of messes, but at least you get to see some wild antics from the sidelines. Nice. Aaron has mastered the art of making chaos sound like it's part of the plan. He's the guy who turns technical difficulties into revolutionary broadcast techniques. Bravo, sir, for making a virtue out of necessity. If there's an award for most patient person in conservative media, Aaron would win it hands down. He spent more time dealing with Deace's tangents than a mathematician with an infinite series. His social media presence is like the digital diary of someone who's seen too much, but says just enough. You can almost hear the silent screams through his tweets. Why am I here? Nice. Why am I doing this?
Nice.
He's the silent partner in crime, the one who probably thinks the show's title should be the Steve Deace and his producer's Sanity Show. Every episode, he's one rant away from becoming the star of his own escape room series. Aaron is the behind-the-scenes maestro of making the impossible seem merely difficult. He's turned hosting a show with Steve Deace into an Olympic sport, and he's going for gold in damage control. And let's not forget, in a world where Steve Deace exists, Aaron is the unsung hero who keeps the trains from completely derailing. He's the calm in the storm, the eye in a hurricane of hot takes. So here's to Aaron McIntyre, the man who makes the impossible seem only slightly improbable. Keep on producing, because without you, who would keep Steve from floating off into the ether of his own rhetoric? I think that's not a roast.
I gotta say, can I just say, Todd?
That was a toast.
No doubt. Yeah. I am highly suspicious that Aaron's idea was to go to an AI and have a roast of the show, and he returns back with a toast to himself instead of a roast. Am I wrong to be suspicious of this?
I mean, you should just give that speech to your son, and he can read it at your funeral.
Yeah,
it was
there
that
you
good.
Go. Yeah, that was not a roast. I'm selling. That was a toast.
I agree. That's not a roast. I'm selling. That was very honoring. If I didn't know anything, I'm about to get hit up for a raise. I mean, my goodness, I mean, that's like, you just got endorsed by, Elon Musk's virtual, avatar there. Okay.
All right. Are you ready for yours, Steve?
After how much praise got heaped upon you, no, but go ahead.
Yeah. All right. Grock's roast of Steve Deace. Here comes the roast for Steve Deace, the man who thinks he's the conservative answer to Nostradamus, but really, he's more like the guy at the end of the bar who's convinced he's got the solution to all of America's problems after his third beer. Steve Deace.
That's true. That's legit.
Where do I start? He's the kind of guy who would argue with a GPS because he's sure his gut feeling is better than satellite data. His show is like a never-ending infomercial for his own opinions, where the only special offer is more of the same. If you look up Doomsday Prepper in the dictionary, you'll find a picture of Steve, but instead of stockpiling canned goods, he's hoarding conspiracy theories. He's the guy who's been predicting the apocalypse since Y2K, and somehow he's still surprised it hasn't happened yet. Maize in blue, more like maze of confusion. Nice. Deace's political commentary is like watching a mime perform a tragedy. You know something's supposed to be happening, but all you see is a lot of over-dramatic gesturing for no apparent reason. He's turned punditry into performance art, and the performance is, well, let's say it's avant-garde. Steve's so good at failing upwards, he makes it look like an actual skill.
Facts.
I mean, who else could go from college dropout to national radio without ever learning to use an indoor voice?
That's good.
Steve is so convinced of his self-righteousness, he makes Mother Teresa looks like she's just doing it for the tax write-off.
No, wait a minute. I'm really offended at that. Nice.
He's the human embodiment of, I'm not yelling, I'm just passionate about my outrage. Yes, people say his account was hacked, but he probably just fell for a Nigerian prince scam or one of those stupid phishing scams, because he's
what happened.
Pushing 70 now?
Yes.
And let's not forget his love for sports analogies. Listening to Steve talk about politics using football metaphors is like watching someone try to explain quantum physics with crayons.
Sure.
It's colorful, but you're left more confused than enlightened. So here's to you, Steve, for providing us with a daily dose of melodrama, moral panic, and the occasional chuckle when we remember not to take it all too seriously.
Now that's better.
That's
a much better roast. That was good. I laughed out loud several times. I mean, several of those I thought absolutely nailed me. Bye. That was well done by Grock. Yes.
Todd, are you ready for this?
I have no idea.
Are you buying my roast?
Yeah, I think that was solid.
All right.
I mean, I think we could have. We all realized that could have gone any number of directions.
It could have. All right.
Just like what's about to happen now.
Gird your loins. I'm sensing a gird your loins.
I mean, this is a whole page.
Okay.
This is a whole page.
All right. Okay.
Todd Erzin, the man who makes the phrase "jack of all trades, master of none" sound like a compliment. Here's a roast fit for a co-host who's as memorable as the last page of a phone book. The most interesting thing about Todd Erzin is he's widely known as being responsible for the word douchegasm. Please note, he's not the inventor of the word, just responsible for it.
I just slop her. I'm sorry. I just slop her.
Todd's the guy who, kind of guy who thinks Black Mirror Oracle is his job title, but we all know it's just a fancy way of saying guy who stares into a screen all day hoping to predict the next Twitter trend. Yeah, Grock wrote that. It should be X trend. His career trajectory is like a yo-yo in the hands of a toddler. Lots of ups and downs, but mostly it's just spinning in confusion. From sports reporting to right-wing rants, he's the Swiss Army knife of mediocrity. If you ever thought, man, I wish my podcast could be more like a random rant at a family reunion, then Todd's your guy. He's the human embodiment of that one uncle who's convinced he could have been president if he'd been born on a leap year. And let's talk about his fashion sense. If you've ever wondered what would happen if a lumberjack and a 90s IT guy had a wardrobe baby, well, there's Todd. His beard isn't just a facial feature, it's a statement. It screams, I'm a serious thinker, but whispers, I haven't found the right conditioner yet. It's like his own personal flag of rebellion against modern grooming standards. Todd never met an argument he didn't want to engage in. Most mornings, you can see him driving to work, yelling at his steering wheel about how it's cowardly and just pretending to be a circle.
I'm sweating. I am freaking sweating. I'm laughing so hard at this.
On one occasion, a walnut dropped from a tree and hit Todd on the head. He called the tree a whore.
I gotta take my glasses off. Holy crap. Holy crap. I literally am sweating. I am sweating right now. I am sweating.
I have achieved at life beyond my wildest understanding.
Holy crap. That is incredible.
Lastly, Todd's the kind of person who would turn a simple hello into a 5-minute monologue about the downfall of civilization. If you're ever short on time, just don't ask him how his day was. In the grand tapestry of human achievement, Todd is the loose thread that makes you wonder if someone's been playing with the scissors again. But hey, at least he keeps the Steve Day Show from being another snooze fest. Keep on keeping on, Todd. Because if there's one thing you're good at, it's providing us with endless material for roasts.
Wow. Holy crap.
So mean.
That's not a roast. That's a roast. Okay. Holy crud.
It's an honor.
That, you should be honored. I mean, that was incredible.
Well done, Grock.
Yes. I mean, the yelling at your steering wheel, calling the walnut a whore.
Can I get that made into a t-shirt? You're a whore, walnut.
and then the douche-chasm. Holy crap. Holy crap. That's incredible. Wow. All right. Let's do this.
I think it goes without saying you two need to try much harder. That's all I'm
Yes. Clearly, we're doing
Especially
something
me.
wrong. Yeah. I mean, Aaron instead got, a performance, accommodation. Yes. All right. Let's do this. Let's take a moment before we just immediately ask the audience to follow up the roasting by the AI devised by the richest and maybe smartest man on planet Earth. All right, that's a tough act to follow. All right, talk about our friends over at Birch Gold. You can open a gold IRA with Birch Gold Group and get free silver coins shipped directly to your home. That's right. It's the most wonderful time of the year. It's that time of year when Birch Gold gives away a free silver American Eagle coin for every $5,000 purchased. And here's the best part. You don't have to pay a penny out of pocket to open that gold IRA. Just by December the 20th, simply convert an existing IRA or 401k into a tax-sheltered IRA in precious metals, and Birch Gold will send your free silver coins directly to your home. Now, you might be thinking, why diversify into gold? I mean, our guy's heading to DC, so we're good. We're golden, in fact. Well, here's the fact, man. And as you're watching them just sell us out on a budget bill right now as we speak, even if DOGE delivers on all the promises of America, it's going to barely put a dent in a $36 trillion national debt in just a few years. So better be safe than sorry. Take action now to protect your savings. Text the word Steve to 989898 for a free info kit on gold and claim your eligibility for a free silver on your purchase from Birch Gold. But you must do this again by December the 20th. That's Friday. Again, text Steve to the number 989898 for the peace of mind that lasts even longer than 4 years. Text Steve to 989898. All right, Aaron.
All right, we will begin with a Mount Rushmore of memes from Uncontexted Deace to Electric Boogaloo.
This one is good.
Top 4 memes of the year 2024. This is you at the premiere of Nefarious. That's a nice Senate seat you've got there, Joni. It would be a shame if somebody primaried you. For those of you listening, it keeps getting closer, zooming in on your face with each sentence.
I mean, and that's very Sprockets.
Yes.
Yes. I love that meme. That's incredible. Yes. Bye. Yes.
This one is the cat getting yelled at by the women meme. The women are me and Todd. It's not even Thanksgiving yet. And Steve's just staring there, stone-faced. Merry Christmas.
I love it so much. So much.
That's incredible.
That's definitely a good one.
Yeah,
this one is of Todd and Steve in bed together. Todd's looking over at Steve. He's probably thinking about Catholic perspective for Romans on tomorrow's show. Steve is thinking, I wonder if Connor Stallions likes pumpkin spice as much as I do.
That's really good, too. That's really good. These are all Mount Rushmore worthy. Yes.
This one, it's the Anakin and Padme. You're allowed to use a hold today, so that means no Lindsey Graham punishments, right? So that means no Lindsey Graham punishments, right? That's pretty good. These are hard to translate into audio, so you're just going to have to come back and watch the show.
That's why you could just subscribe to Blaze TV, because then you would have been watching it right now with us at blazetv.com/Deace. There you go.
Exactly. All right, next, old friend alert. Chris Pandolfo says, drone mystery will remain unsolved and we'll forget about it after inauguration.
I'm going to sell. And here's why I'm going to sell. Because you have several different interests involved in this story now, okay? You have the anti-government conspiracy theorist interests involved in this story now. You've got people who are convinced that we have just become soft, who are just traditional, kind of your, America, defense hawks who think that this is quite likely an enemy adversary just humiliating us on a national stage or on the world stage and want some answers. And then you have the entire UFO disclosure community in on this too, which of course has just been given rocket fuel over the last couple of years since disclosure became an official position of the U.S. government in 2022. That is, if the story fed just one of those sectors, I would agree with Chris. I would. It feeds multiple sectors of interest now, and multiple sectors of interest have an interest in either keeping the story alive because it feeds their narrative, whether they're doing it consciously or subconsciously. Okay. I mean, having a bunch of, I used to be heavy into the UFO stuff before I became a Christian. I've talked about this before. I was heavy into the occult. My grandmother, God rest her soul, had me, I was knowledgeable about all kinds of stuff, Bermuda Triangle, all these things. I mean, I read and watched everything I could find on these things. I found them fascinating. One of the core tenets of ufology is a preponderance of UFO events that take place over military installations. And that pre-exists this story, okay? And so now, this has been stuff that has been going on and talked about within the UFO underground going back to the Cold War in the 70s. Now you've brought this all into the mainstream on top of mainstreaming the entire discussion now, okay? So they're not going to let it go. A lot of traditional national defense people are like, we cannot allow ourselves to get frickin' clowned like this by China or anybody else right off our own coasts on our, some of our most prestigious military bases. And then you just have the complete lack of government trust out there in general, particularly since COVID. I think that this cauldron has too much energy. I don't think it will. That doesn't mean it's going to necessarily always rage as hot as it is right now. Okay. But I don't think that this is something that we will look back like the longshoreman strike or the dock or the bridge collapse earlier this year. Hey guys, remember when the drones were? I don't think we're going to do that. I mean, the biggest show in the hemisphere just platformed one of these disclosure UFO guys to discuss the drones. That's Joe Rogan, just did this yesterday. All right. So anywhere from, given Joe's typical audience, 5 to 20 million people are going to be tuned in the next, in the not too distant future with that interview. So I don't think it will go away. It may not always be raging hot. It may be something we come back to off and on with other events throughout the course of the first half of next year. But I don't see it just getting memory hold right now. It's out into the ether now, and it crosses over, Todd, into too many people's narratives and pet causes right now.
I'm the guy yesterday who said it's a value bet that this is caused by the time we come back to work, the beginning of the new year, that there's martial law and Trump is not allowed to be inaugurated. But I think what Chris says is like just as much of a value bet. I might as well just be totally honest. I can't remember the last time I did this, and this is the very first question I'm going to hold. I have no idea. Just absolutely none.
Okay.
All right, Deace and memes.
I mean, Chris works for Fox News.
Mm-hmm.
He's doing a great job there, by the way. But I mean, they're covering the heck out of the story. I mean, I have shared numerous Fox News stories about this story. They're doing a bunch of interviews about it. Okay, I mean, Jesse Waters just did an interview about it last night that went viral. I think I even shared a clip with it to you guys in our text thread before I went on my date night. So I mean, even his network now, which would be, they've long fancied themselves, Fox has, for better for worse, as kind of the Overton window of what's acceptable, for mainstream right of center audiences out of fear of everybody getting labeled a kook. Okay, well, they're running with the story themselves right now. So I'm sorry, Aaron.
Next up is Deace and memes for Pumpkin Spiced Queens, who had a list. 5 different Christmas songs. These are top 5 Lindsey Graham Christmas lyrics.
Oh, no.
It is so vile,
no.
obscene, and explicit. I cannot read it. I'll just give you a taste. He's making a list, checking it twice. Filipino guys that are looking real nice. Lindsey Graham is bumming to town. It gets worse than that.
We have to stop. We have got to stop at Filipino guys.
Yes.
All right. Because there's only 2 reasons white guys go to Thailand or the Philippines. There's only 2 reasons. Okay. All right. One of them is they're Christian missionaries, and the other is they want to commit some unspeakable acts. Those are the only 2 reasons why. We got to stop right there. All right. Nevertheless, total buy. Yeah, because they're probably all true.
Sure.
Yeah, I just can't read the other submissions.
So we cannot, even though they're probably accurate.
Yes. Hilarious. I need to put that in there. Hilarious, but you just can't read them. G.R. Herman says, Trump doesn't have a first 100 days. If he doesn't have things moving in 60 days, it's unlikely much will get done in the next 4 years.
I'm going to sell on this. But
I get where you're coming from.
I get where you're coming from, but like Mike Johnson right now, let's just talk about him because he is in the crosshairs of every major Trump influencer right now. And Rand Paul today. Mm-hmm. Did you guys see this?
Oh, yes.
I mean, this is, if you do this business long enough, you can tell when someone is there's political performance art, and then there are things that you say and believe, but you frame them politically in a way that it's clear this is political messaging, right? Like I do that a lot on our show. Unless we are making a tongue-in-cheek point, which will make it clear to you if we are, we always say what we really believe. Now, we may say some things in ways that frame it to the political conversation so that it doesn't necessarily become like, let's have a fist fight over everything, okay? Rand didn't do any of that. Just flat out called Mike Johnson a weak man.
Mm-hmm.
So here's the thing. Mike Johnson is at the UFC matches with Trump. He was at the Army-Navy game with Trump. Mike Johnson is currently under the protection of the king. He is under the protection of the king. But not everybody... Protection in Trump's kingdom can be a little bit like Whoopi Goldberg's understanding of insurance. Fair? The definition of protection doesn't necessarily mean what we think it means, and it's not always perpetual.
Well,
they come and they go, Hobbs. They come and they go.
It's art of the deal.
Yeah. So what you want to do, if you want to get rid of Mike Johnson, is exactly what Trump influencers are doing right now. Okay, there's nothing to be gained by attacking Trump. If anything, Trump would probably just be more inclined to remind everybody he's king and earned it and protect Mike Johnson all the more. All right. So the right thing to do is actually to go after Mike Johnson and to weaken him and have Trump then come to the conclusion that the juice here isn't worth the squeeze. This guy's just not worth it to me. Okay. And now would actually be the time to move on if you wanted to do it. You go ahead and let Mike Johnson take all the heat for the budget sellout that they're going to do. All right. There's no way you're going to be able to stop it. They'll just get enough Democrats to vote for it and screw us. All right. And you let Mike Johnson just accrue all of that enmity, have it all just pile on him. All right. Then you come out in January and say, all right, man, we got it. We need a total reboot here. Control, Alt, Delete. Now, here's the problem. Because that sounds like a great plan, right? Sounds like kind of a Trumpian thing to kind of do too, right? Right. Here's the problem you have, though. You can't replace something with nothing, right? So who steps into that place? It's not going to be somebody like Thomas Massie and Chip Roy, because they're too unbending in their principles for Trump, right? And to Trump, he thinks guys like that maybe don't necessarily operate in a real world, but in a vacuum. And some accommodations have to be made. Okay. By the way, I'm not taking a side, and I'm not taking Trump's side in that. I'm just giving you guys analysis of how Trump sees guys like that. So you can dispel yourself of the notion that it's going to be someone with like 100%, voting record, not like Aaron's 100% biblical worldview, like a real voting record of greatness. Okay. Because they're not going to.
There's the roast, by the way.
Did you like that? Subtle. I was wondering if you guys got to pick up on that. All right. And Aaron had to catch at least one stray on this show after how we just opened this program. Okay. So it's not going to be an ideologue, is what I'm trying to say. Okay, it's not going to be an ideologue like a Massey or a Chip Roy. It would have to be somebody that would be a plausible conservative, but in the end, if some business needs to be done here to get things done, will go out there on Fox News tonight, bite the bullet, and be the face of it. Right? Is that Jim Jordan? Maybe. I don't know. That's one name maybe that comes to mind here. All right, he's got enough plausible conservative credentials. He would be seen as a clear upgrade by the base. So naming him wouldn't cause a bunch of eye rolls and groans and guffaws, right? But then on the other hand, Jim's taken a check or two from Google over the years. Jim had his weaponization committee that didn't de-weaponize anything. So he's clearly understanding in the end that some of this is performative art, and that will be demanded of you within Trump's kingdom. Fair? But that's essentially what I think Trump influencers are rightly trying to do now, is they are putting all of this on Mike Johnson to make it so that he just seems like a stock for Donald Trump that you should just sell, and it's not worth at this point just keeping in your portfolio. Is that a buy or a sell, what I just said?
I'm not sure.
Well, here's why I brought that up in the context of this question. Because
the 60 days.
60 days, a lot can happen. The whole paradigm. You come into this, and by Valentine's Day, Mike Johnson is out. He's just taken on too much toxic waste. You kind of reboot your honeymoon period with a new guy. You see what I'm saying? All right. It's why you saw some coaches this year in college football who are not on the hot seat yet, but it's the year before they would be on the hot seat, right? And so a bunch of them benched their quarterbacks. Maryland did it. USC did it, even though their quarterbacks weren't playing that bad. Particularly USC quarterbacks like playing pretty good. Well, why'd they bench their guys? They weren't winning games. Right? And so if you bench the quarterback and put a new, younger, untested guy in there that people have optimism for, it rolls your clock back. You see what I'm saying? And people are like, oh, yeah, okay, well, I know we finished at the end and we didn't play well at the end of the year, but we had the young quarterback in, and there's hope and there's hype, and, let's see what this guy can do in another year, right? That's kind of what I'm saying here, is I gave Grock another sports analogy for my political analysis. So screw
Correct.
You, Grock. Yes. I did that on purpose. Yes.
All right, next we go to Timothy Stevens, who says the lack of mostly peaceful protests following Trump's win indicates one of the following: the leftist elites want him in office, or two, the Democrats are planning an 11th hour coup, a la Raskin's statement that it's going to be up to us on January 6th, 2025 to tell the rampaging Trump mobs that he's disqualified.
I'm going to sell. I think sometimes we are convinced they're smarter than us when they're not. And I've got huge amounts of experience engaging on the other side. They are not smarter than us. We're just gutless. I really think it's just as simple as they don't have a launching off point right now. They have no political capital right now. They need to wait.
I sell as well.
More in a moment. So winter is coming. In fact, later this week, as a matter of fact. And that means cold and flu season for a lot of people. And it's never, that could never happen here. Season, it's always that. There's never an off season from that, no matter what's going on in the country, no matter if you won the last election or not. In fact, I would argue, because we did win, now is the time to take advantage of that window to make sure you've got your backup from Jace Medical and the Jace case right now. I mean, after all, there are still, 33 days, 32 days until Trump can take office. A lot could go down. Did you guys see Joe Biden trying to comment on the drones yesterday? Damn it, something. Good gracious. I mean, that's literally what he said. That's literally what he said. Folks, just have the peace of mind you need, just in case the meds you need are the next ones that they decide are suddenly too dangerous after giving them Nobel Prizes, like they did ivermectin, which, by the way, you can customize and add to your Jace case if you want, or just go with the OG and make sure you've got 5 of the most important antibiotics ever discovered by humanity, like amoxicillin, doxycycline, or more. That's all up to you. Just go to jace.com/Deace. That's up to you as well. Do that now. Go to jace.com/Deace. Use the discount code Deace for a discount on your order. Code Deace at checkout for the discount on your order at jace.com, Jase, jace.com/Deace. Use the code Deace at checkout for the discount on your order at jace.com/Deace. All right, back to a special year-end 2-hour edition of Buy, Sell, or Hold, Aaron.
All right, next we go to Rolling 20, top 10 Christmas movies of all time. You better not miss on this one. Number 10, Fred Claus.
You already missed.
Yep.
Already missed. Missed already.
Number 9, Die Hard.
Not a Christmas movie. Takes place at Christmas time, has no themes about Christmas. Not a Christmas movie.
Number
Missed
8,
again.
Christmas with the Cranks.
First of all, Fred Claus and Christmas with the Cranks are both fun movies. They're not 2 of the 10 greatest Christmas movies of all time.
Number 7, Elf.
There's no way. There's 6 Christmas movies better than that. Doesn't have to be number 1. There aren't 6 better. Sell again. You're 0 for 4.
If this is just a troll of Steve, I'm buying.
Number 6, Home Alone.
Sure, that belongs on the list. I agree. Probably the most commercially successful one.
5, The Santa Claus.
Also would be up there for the most commercially successful one. Spawned an entire successful franchise. I'm fine with it being on the list. Yeah.
Number 4, Christmas Vacation.
I think it's a masterpiece. Belongs on the list. Agree.
Number 3, A Christmas Story.
Masterpiece. Belongs on the list. Agree.
Number 2, Miracle on 34th Street.
Masterpiece. Belongs on the list. Agree.
Number 1, It's a Wonderful Life.
One of the greatest movies of all time. Maybe the quintessential and most perfect American film ever made. I mean, it's just a uniquely American story. So, by the way, the wife, when she gave me one of my Christmas gifts early this year, she found a woman on Facebook Marketplace whose mom was a collector and passed away, and was a huge It's a Wonderful Life fan. And she had like a collection, a mounted collection of autographs, Frank Capra, Donna Reed, Jimmy Stewart, with behind-the-scenes photos from the film, and got that for me. Nice. It's hanging up in the family room right now, so that's very cool. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you redeemed yourself with the end of the list, but that's the easy part, right? I mean, Christmas Vacation, Christmas Story, It's a Wonderful Life, Miracle on 34th Street. That would be on every list of top 10s and would be somewhere probably in the top 5 or 6. There's got to be some version of Dickens or Christmas Carol has to be in there. Has to be at least one. A lot of people love the Alistair Sims version. I think the best one that's ever been made and the one that's the most faithful to Dickens' actual story is the animated Jim Carrey one from 2009. So that would be the version that I would put on there. But some variation of a Christmas Carol has to be on the list down there somewhere. The bottom of that list, I'm just a sell comprehensively. So what does that make me then? A sell in general?
Yeah.
What about you, Todd?
Yeah, I would sell. I would have some different movies on there as well.
By the way, if you want to see a very underrated Christmas movie and maybe the most underrated Christmas movie of all time, Arthur Christmas is great. That is a great Christmas movie.
Like
have you
Arthur
ever seen
the
it?
Cartoon?
No.
Arthur like Dudley Moore?
No.
So I'm 0 for 2. Which
You're 0 for
Arthur
2.
are we talking
That's
about?
my point. Not a lot of people saw it when it came out at the time. It's an animated film. Santa. What happens is Santa retires after a few centuries on the job. Santas aren't immortal, but they age slower than other people. Okay, and it's time for our era's Saint Nicholas to retire. Going back to the original St. Nicholas, okay? And so this has been passed on, within his family line ever since, okay? And it's time for our era's St. Nicholas to retire, and he's got 2 sons to choose. The oldest son, who's actually, kind of his first officer and has modernized the North Pole and is really running the operations on a daily basis. It's basically a telling of the prodigal son is kind of what they do here with this story. And then the younger son, who's kind of a misfit, goes off on his own, although he loves Christmas, but can't really find his own place and kind of lost. And his name is Arthur, okay? And the story is about whom Santa is going to pass on the cape and the boots and the stocking cap to. And it's really, really well done. I would highly recommend it. I think it might be the most underrated Christmas movie ever. Now, one of the worst ever that is so bad, it's good. And this movie's terrible. It's dreadful. But it's so bad that it's good. Okay? Yeah, you guys have movies like that are so bad?
Well,
that they're good.
Matt's collection says the Star Wars Holiday Special from 1977 should be required viewing just because it actually makes the sequel trilogy palatable. Yes, it's that bad.
It's that bad. Yeah. And every December for our monthly poker game, we have a tradition where we watch the Star Wars Holiday Special in the background. And it's just as terrible every single year. We have the same jokes every single year. But there's an Italian film from the 60s called The Christmas That Almost Wasn't. And it's awful. It's absolute dreck, but it's so bad that it's good. So if you're looking for that kind of a guilty pleasure, all right, the kids will hate you. Don't make them watch it. This is the kind of thing maybe you and the spouse, after the kids go to bed, staying up with some eggnog, looking for something to kind of festive to kind of laugh at, this would be that kind of a movie. It's called The Christmas That Almost Wasn't. It's very bad. Very bad. But it's so bad it's good.
You buy, sell, or hold Matt's take here that you have to watch this to actually appreciate the sequel trilogy.
Yes, and if you've never seen the Star Wars Holiday Special, you're missing out. Everyone should see it at least one time. Everyone should. Christmas 1978, and it aired on national TV on CBS on a Friday night. They preempted The Incredible Hulk and Dukes of Hazzard, I think it was, to show this. And you're going to find out why for the next 20 years Lucas did everything he could to buy up and burn up every copy of it. But he's responsible for it. And the cheesy dialogue and everything in it should have been our first clue of what was going to end up happening, even with the Star Wars prequels. I mean, some of that dialogue, man, is really bad. Well, a lot of its seeds are sown in the Star Wars Holiday Special. But the Star Wars Holiday Special also, though, has a very important footnote in Star Wars history beyond the self-parody it descends into when Leia, Carrie Fisher, sings a Life Day carol at the end of the show. Gosh, it's so bad. It was the official debut of Boba Fett. In the middle of it, they did an animated short about what was happening between Star Wars and the next Star Wars movie, what was happening. And in that short, which is actually pretty cool, the story's pretty cool, Vader's in it. In that short is the official Star Wars canon debut of Boba Fett as the character. That's where he makes his first appearance.
You should have been roasted for that analysis right there.
Well, like I've said many times, my wife will tell you, if she didn't have my 3 kids, she'd swear I was still a virgin. And yes.
All right, next we go to Isaac, who says, Michael Bublé ruins every Christmas song he sings. Playing his Christmas music is anathema.
That's so.
I'll sell. It's not my cup of tea. It's kind of why, because I can just listen to Frank Sinatra and Dean Martin. I mean, he's kind of just a facsimile of those guys, So why would I, do the Xerox when I can just read off the original, right?
Yeah,
That being said, I don't mind it.
I think that goes a little bit too far. I will say, Bella and I were like looking for a Christmas show, like a Christmas music show to watch on YouTube a couple of years ago, and we came across Michael Bublé Christmas special, and like, oh, this is going to be good. It was awful.
Was it really
awful?
You can watch all the old Osmond family Christmas specials. I know because I watched 4 of them last Christmas from back. Those are on YouTube. All the old Andy Williams Christmas specials are on YouTube. I know I've watched about 10 of those. You can watch all the old Dean Martin Christmas specials. I've watched every single one of those. So that's how I can personally attest to the fact they're all on YouTube. Yeah.
Grock Roaster's just taking notes right now.
Johnny
and Marie.
The Johnny Cash ones are too, but a lot of it really isn't Christmas. He does it, even though there's always a pitch for his ministry to Israel at the end of every one. But a lot of them are like him and Roy Orbison and the Everly Brothers getting together and singing, which, dude, that's cool, right? But they're often not doing Christmas songs. Just a warning if you jump on the Johnny Cash Christmas specials on YouTube.
All right, next we go to James Lester, top 5 Christmas songs from a theological perspective. I think he's saying the top 5 Christmas songs with the most theological depth.
Okay.
5, Come Thou Long Expected Jesus.
Major props for this poll. Vastly underrated Christmas hymn. I mean, the amount of theology littered in the lyrics is replete. It's a cool song as well. It's underperformed. You polling that song on your list indicates to me you're taking this very seriously. So unlike the last list we had where I was unimpressed from the start, I am impressed here and willing to hear more of what you have to say. That's a great poll.
Number 4, O Come All Ye Faithful.
Absolutely, although I think it should be a little higher on the list.
I just can't help looking past to number 3 in the Civil War you're just about to start.
Number 3, Mary Did You Know? What is the Catholic perspective on this song, Tom?
Yeah, I would think that your side would be more offended at this than ours.
Yeah, there are some on ours.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard I don't really overthink it too much, but I know that this song drives some people really crazy. And since this question is coming from not just feel good, hit you in the feels, but theological, that's where everybody's like, heresy.
I mean, the money line in the song is this child that you've delivered will soon deliver you. I mean, I would think that your side would have way more problems with this than ours. I would think, but maybe I'm just not as well versed in the Theo Wars as I used to be.
I would say no matter what tribe you're from or what you think about this, I still don't think this is the top 5 all time of theological songs.
Okay.
I would tend to agree with that.
On that front, I would tend to agree. And if you're going to put it on the list, I definitely would not put it ahead of O Come All Ye Faithful for sure. Okay. Yeah. I mean, Yea, Lord, we greet thee, born this happy morning. I mean, you go beyond the first stanza of O Come All Ye Faithful, which is stirring enough, but the theology in the next 2 verses is even richer and deeper. So
yeah, O Come All Ye Faithful is my favorite Christmas carol. There is a very obscure video on YouTube. I think it's my favorite rendition that I've ever heard of O Come All Ye Faithful. I think it's the Cummins, Georgia First United Methodist Church, along with a couple of high school choirs. And the choir is probably 75 strong, from like 10 years old up to octogenarians, full orchestra, brass section, pipe organ. And it's just angelic. And it was shot on a camcorder too.
Oh,
and
nice.
And the recording quality is incredible, which tells you if you were there in person, it's even better. But yeah, it's Cummins. I think it's Cummins, Georgia First United Methodist Church. It was back in 2012 they did this, but it's just a fantastic recording.
I'm going to look for that because my all-time favorite version is Celine Dion's. Celine Dion's O Come All Ye Faithful will make the hair on the back of your neck stand up. I mean, that is next level stuff in my view. All right, what's the rest of his list?
Number 2, Joy to the World.
Very obvious. I mean, the entire song is a theology lesson. Yes.
And 1, Hark the Herald Angels Sing.
Literally written by a theologian. So overall, this list is great, and I'm extremely impressed that you pulled out Come Thou Long Expected Jesus. Very impressed you pulled that one. And so because of that, I'm going to forgive the faux pas of having Mary Did You Know way too high, even if on the list at all, and give you a good solid buy, because I do think it's an earnest attempt.
Sure.
All right. Finally, this from Fetigator for this segment. Top 5 unconventional Christmas movies not named Die Hard. 5, Lethal Weapon.
So these are films that are none of them are Christmas movies because they're not Christmas themed. They're just set at Christmas. Okay, I love Lethal Weapon. I love Die Hard. Sure. Okay.
Number 4, Trading Places.
Yes.
Yeah.
Number 3, Gremlins.
That's an incredible film. Yeah.
Number 2, Nightmare Before Christmas.
I'm not a huge fan of that film and stop motion animation. Not my cup of tea.
There was a fascinating thread about why there is a kind of a cult-like devotion to that film. And if I can sum it up best I can in like 15 seconds, essentially the movie is a reflection of the people who love it, because the main character, can't remember what his name. He's from this dark place called Halloweenville or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And he's enamored with Christmas, but he doesn't understand why. He doesn't understand what makes Christmas special. And the thinking is that's why people are so enamored. They love the looks and the bells and the lights of Christmas, but they don't understand what makes it special. I thought it was a fascinating take on that movie.
Okay.
And number 1, Batman Returns.
It is set at Christmas. It is. And it looks incredible. The story is not as strong as the original one, mainly because you have Jack Nicholson giving a magnum opus performance as kind of the 60s version of the Joker, but updated for an 80s audience. He's more of a jokester, prankster type than what you see from Heath Ledger and Joaquin Phoenix later. Okay. But you don't have a villain that compelling. And so the story suffers as a result, but it looks even more comic booky and looks even better. Burton's cinematography in Batman Returns, with the Christmas setting and the snow and the contrast with the Dark Knight and the gear, it actually looks even better than the first Batman does, even though it's not as good of a movie. So, okay, I'm okay with that list. I'll buy. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, basically the only qualification is at some point Santa or snow has to show up, but yeah, okay.
Yeah. I mean, again, you guys can have your own definitions. I'm not into fighting over this kind of stuff, but I kind of think if it's a Christmas movie, it's got to have Christmas themes. Just because a movie is set at Christmas doesn't mean it's a Christmas movie. It can mean that, but, by that definition, every Harry Potter film would be a Christmas film, right? Mm-hmm. There's Christmas break every year there at school, right? At Hogwarts.
Well,
right?
We always watch the Harry Potter movies around Christmas, but we don't consider them Christmas movies.
Yeah, just because it's set at Christmas doesn't mean it's a Christmas movie. All right, we'll come back, and we will have a very special guest join us for our final hour of Buy, Sell, or Hold this year. The one and only prophet of woe and lamentation. Let's get some bah humbug up in here.
Amen.
Daniel Horowitz will join us next. All right, back here with Hour 2, live and on demand on Blaze TV, radio, and podcast with Aaron McIntyre, the boom roasted Todd Erzin, the semi-roasted Steve Deace. We are the Steve Deace Show, and look who has joined us now for the final hour of Buy, Sell, or Hold for the year. We cannot go without some bah humbug during the holidays, so we bring in the weekly prophet of woe and lamentation himself, the one and only Daniel Horowitz. It is good to see you, my friend. How you be?
Hey, Steve. I'll never pass up an opportunity to hold. Look, we're in the times of the gay old party, and we're being told that it's gay not to be gay. So you can't blame me for doing a lot of holds today.
We're having a gay old time. Indeed. I mean, we're trying to make the season gay. That's even in our Christmas carols, right? Make the season gay, right? Anyway, we're brought to you by our friends over at Miracle Made, and their sheets are a phenomenal gift for yourself or a loved one. I know, because we gifted ourselves some Miracle Made sheets a couple of years ago, and I've been raving about them ever since. Self-cooling properties with silver-infused fabrics inspired by NASA, helps with thermo-regulating all night long, and that is key to getting a good night's sleep, no matter the weather, which is why we promote them when the weather is really hot in the summer. We promote them as the weather gets ready to get cold here in the winter, and then the spring and fall time of year where maybe it can be nice and warm during the day, and then the temps drop at night. It doesn't matter. Miracle Made is there for all seasons to help with your temperature regulating. And the sheets are also luxuriously comfortable. You'll miss them when you go on the road. I do. I miss my Miracle Made sheets when I go on the road. Absolutely love these sheets. You can try them now when you go to trymiracle.com/Deace to try Miracle Made sheets today. And whether you're buying them for yourself or as a gift for a loved one, if you order today, you can save 40%. And if you use the promo code Deace at checkout, you'll get 3 free towels and save an extra 20% on top of that. All right. So upgrade your sleep now with Miracle Made. Go to trymiracle.com/Deace. Use the code Deace to claim your free 3-piece towel set and save over 40% off. That's trymiracle.com/Deace, code Deace, trymiracle.com/Deace, code Deace. So we started last hour with Grock roasting the three of us, all right? Because nothing's more Daniel Horowitz than most people like go to Grock and say, draw me as a superhero. I will admit that I did that. Okay.
Yes. I had no doubts.
Draw me as president. Draw me as something cool, right? Tell me I'm pretty.
Did you do that one?
I did not do that one. No, I didn't do that one. Daniel Horowitz heard us reading our roasts and thought, I should go see what Grock wants to do to roast me. All right? That is the most Daniel Horowitz thing ever. I mean, that is the prophet of woe and lamentation on brand as it gets right there. Okay. And so here is what Daniel received back. Daniel Horowitz of Blaze Media, where to ever begin? Here's a guy who seems to think he's the last bastion of conservative thought in a world gone mad with tyranny. First off, let's talk about his podcast. It's like listening to a broken record stuck on the notion that every single problem in America can be traced back to illegal immigration, liberal tyranny, or the criminal justice reform. It's all very one note, isn't it? You'd think with all the talk about liberty, he'd occasionally play a different tune, but nope, it's the same old, same old. He could use some new material, maybe. Then there's his take on everything from health policy to foreign affairs, which kind of is a contradiction. If all you talk about are those three things, then why do we talk about these other things?
Roast?
Exactly. So then there's his take on everything from health policy to foreign affairs, where he's often seen as the self-appointed guardian against big pharma, the government, or whatever boogeyman he's decided is undermining our freedoms this week. His skepticism, while sometimes warranted, often borders on the conspiratorial. To be fair, it borders on the conspiratorial pretty much perpetually. It's not often. Let's be fair about this. Remember when he was all about questioning vaccines during the height of COVID, the COVID-19 crisis? Yeah, that kind of skepticism didn't exactly age like a fine wine.
Wait,
I don't know.
what?
It kind of did. It's like he's trying to be the conservative version of a conspiracy theorist, but without the charm. That part's kind of true, if we're being honest. So let's not forget his role as a senior editor at Blaze News. Here's where he gets to pontificate on the theft of American sovereignty, liberty, and law and order. The irony is, in his relentless crusade against what he sees as the erosion of these values, he might be contributing to the polarization that he so vehemently opposes. If you're not with him, you're clearly part of the problem, right? There's no nuance, just a broad brush of painting everyone who disagrees with him as some sort of grand scheme to dismantle America.
I'm just left insulted after hearing that. He got called an anti-vaxxer and you and I didn't. I demand justice.
His style.
It looks like it fired all its bullets on Todd.
Yes.
I know.
I mean, what happened there?
His style, oh boy, his style. It's like if you took a conservative think tank, blended it with a bit of doomsday prepper mentality, and served it with a society of perpetual outrage, you'd have Daniel Horowitz. There's something to be said for that, at least. He's passionate, I'll give him that, but passion without perspective often just comes off as yelling into the void, especially when it's so predictably repetitive. In summary, Daniel Horowitz at Blaze Media is like that one guest at a dinner party who won't stop talking about their pet conspiracy theories, monopolizing the conversation with a mix of fear, outrage, and a dash of self-righteousness. Come on, there's more than a dash. There's more than a dash here. All right. He's got some valid points buried in there somewhere, but you need a shovel and a lot of patience to find them. You, my friend, you are on Grock's crap list. Okay, you're getting a rock in your stocking from Grock, brother. Okay, there will be no gifts from Grock during any 8 crazy nights at the Horowitz household. That was not a roast, brother. That was a polemic. Grock is pissed. All right, Grock is mad at Daniel Horowitz.
I was having trouble disagreeing with it.
On the other hand, Dan's like, this looks like a scouting report. Yes.
Yeah, Hey, like, you know, he's a one-trick pony, but then he covers all these issues.
So basically, Daniel's like, well, you guys just did to me what I do on my show to everybody else. So it's totally fair, which is why I considered it to be an attack, because that's kind of what it was.
Grock is pissed at Daniel, hates Todd, mildly amused with you, and thinks the world of me.
Yes, essentially that's what we have learned. So these are the avatar opinions for Elon Musk. Basically, it's his concoction. It's his baby. All right. So this is his virtual AI, and it loves you some Aaron McIntyre. So I would milk that relationship, brother, while you've got an opportunity here.
I'll try.
All right. Let us know what you think about what we think via the stevedeace.com inbox. You can do so by emailing us, steve@stevedeace.com. That's DEACE. Like us on Facebook, me, we, and Gab. You can follow me at Steve Deace Show on X, Getter, Instagram, and TikTok. And then also, please subscribe to our new YouTube channel, at Deace Show on YouTube. That's at Deace Show on YouTube. As we're starting all over there with all the censorship we received, for all the truth that we told you for the last few years. And then make sure, if you're a podcast aficionado, thank you, hit subscribe, or if you tune in via iTunes, click follow. And that way, every time we do a new episode, it shows up there in your podcast feed every single time. And if you wouldn't mind, leave us a 5-star review and let the world know how much you love the show. And we appreciate all of you that have done that too. So, Daniel, my understanding is you know the rules here of how this is going to work. You ready to roll?
I'm ready to hold.
All right, he's ready to hold. All right, go ahead, Aaron.
We will start with sports. Idiocracy correspondent says Aaron's Chiefs will make an early exit from the playoffs.
Sell.
I'm going to buy. I mean, the odds have been to, 3 of the last 5 Super Bowls and 4 or 5 straight AFC Championship games, right?
Yes.
I mean, I'll just do the value play and go against that, just because the randomness of playing outdoors in January and an oblong ball on a crowned field. I'll just, even though this year the propensity to just figure out different ways to win games, I think, doesn't make this a strong prediction, but I'll just make the value bet that it's just hard to do that 6 years in a row. All right, so I'll buy.
It is hard to do it 6 years in a row, but they're better at it than anybody. So,
that is true. Yeah. That's why it's hard to go against it, but it's a value bet. What about you, Daniel?
I'll sell. I mean, I'm conspiratorial, so Taylor Swift, give me a break. They ain't given up that focus and that sort of attention, so Chiefs aren't going anywhere.
There you go.
From your lips to God's ears.
Although the Butker thing works against it, so it's a...
That's true. Yeah. The karma's kind of canceling. It goes back and forth there. You're right about that, yes.
Cows with Guns says urinal inspiration should be a regular segment, a la what happened on the Deace group last week.
That's because I got an idea while going pee. Yes. I'll buy. You okay with some urinal inspiration?
I will sell.
You will sell. Daniel?
Oh, buy. I mean, log cabin Republicans.
Lots of urinal inspirations going on over there, brother. You know what I'm saying? Especially at the rest stops.
There'll be a lot of that urinal sort of stuff.
Yes.
Tiny Johnny says, just like an angel getting its wings every time a bell rings, every time Biden pardons a guy, a drone is released from the sky.
Nice. I like that. Bye.
The math checks out.
Can we go back to the Harrison Butker thing really quick?
Yeah.
We have to all be, even if we're not Aaron McIntyre, we all have to be rooting for the Chiefs to get to the Super Bowl, now that I think about it.
Especially given his injury, too.
Well, he's back now, isn't he back? Okay. Yeah. So he's back on the roster kicking for the team, right? Mm-hmm. What I'm thinking is, can you imagine Super Bowl Media Day with Harrison Butker? That's a show we need to be able to do. All right. I want Super Bowl Media Day with Harrison Butker. That has to happen, don't you think?
I would like it.
Dude is just going to lay down ordnance. I mean, that's not going to be a press conference. It's going to be a homily. The NFL is going to be like, if you show up, you'll get fined. Right? What was the whole thing that Marshawn Lynch did? I'm only here so I don't get fined. I'm only here so I don't get fined. The NFL is like, if you show up, you'll get fined. Right? All right. Anyway, on this one, Daniel, where are you at on this one?
I'm at a hold because on the one hand, he needs to distract. On the other hand, honestly, he doesn't give a darn anymore, assuming he's still making the decisions. He could pardon anyone.
Daniel, do you have, while we're on this topic, in 1 minute, do you have a theory on the drones?
Self-spreading vaccines. No. Look, the most logical thing is that they're doing some not even high-tech sort of ops testing for one of their defense contractors, and they don't want to divulge it, so they're just lying to everyone about it like they always do. But I think the broader problem is we have a crisis of trust. Mm-hmm. So they did just allow China to have a balloon go over our entire country and absolutely surveil military installations. So it does make us wonder, but you got to believe like thousands of these things can't be adversarial. So who knows?
Okay. All right, let's carry on.
Next up, we go to I'm Being Wise Guy, who says the base of the left is at its breaking points. They're ready for revolution. There's going to be a very noticeable uptick in leftist violence in 2025. It's hard to quantify it with a number, but something like 4 times as much as we're used to, at least.
Daniel, I'm going to let you take this one first.
I sell. I'm not even going to have to do the Lindsey Graham on this. I mean, I have a contrary take. I believe that you have not seen violence so far, and I don't think you're going to see it in 2025. I believe the system has made peace with a certain equilibrium. I think the amount that the left has imbued in politics, law, society, and culture of nuclear waste, political nuclear waste, is great enough that they could continue on autopilot most of what they're doing, have some aspects of it maybe stalled out a little bit, but then pick it up when the Democrats win again. So I don't know if you're going to see another brown shirt moment like we did in 2020.
Todd?
I will buy. It's not just crazy ideas pushed as far as they go, and now we kind of pull back and resettle. These ideas have become incarnate, and they're now crazy people, and they just can't be stopped. I don't know how many of them are, but it's the Joker world. It has been created, and they're out there now, and they're not just tactical in their thinking. They're nuts.
Aaron?
I am going to sell for some of the same reasons that Daniel has said until I have more information. But that would seem like an Occam's razor, is that, you know what, we just got to bite the bullet here for a little while, bide our time before we come back stronger than ever.
Yep. Now,
So-
I just want to say,
Go ahead,
sorry.
Daniel. No, you finish
I
your
was just
point.
going to say, just a caveat, I mean mass organized violence.
Yep.
Obviously, increasingly what we're going to have more of is these individuals kind of like, because we have pagan Sharia in this country,
Yep.
it's as fervent as
See, you're going right where I was going to go. Finish your point. Go ahead.
as the Islamic madrasas where they indoctrinate them. So we have not actualized the peak, the cusp of this previous generation's worth of indoctrination. So you have an entire generation of 12 to 25-year-olds that are just ticking time bombs.
See,
that will happen.
That's where I was going to go. I think the systemic stormtrooper stuff, again, without a rationale, all right, without some cover event like a Floyd funeral or, Trump Charlottesville that they can just lie about for years, that gives them some narrative that their media can sell as a rationale for why this is not coordinated, but a spontaneous outburst of legitimate emotion from aggrieved victims of cherished oppressive status. Without that, okay, I don't think we're going to, I agree, we're not going to see, without those impetuses, we're going to see what we thought we were going to see. However, I do think organically this element still exists in by and large. Well, not by and large, but exists throughout in limited amounts and doses, but exists throughout our society, so that even if they don't, there's no Thanos snap or a switch is flipped, you're going to get events like, the 1% trust fund kid shooting the 1% insurance executive and now being suddenly deemed a working class hero, or what tragically happened at the Christian school earlier this week in Madison. I'm sorry. So that worldview energy will still show itself, whether it's systemically being guided by coordinated political events or not.
Yep. No, and Steve, just about that trust fund, baby, everyone knows that family here. They own the big conservative talk show station. At least the grandparents did. And I know people who went to the private school, which is not too far from where I live. And they said he was roughly a normal kid in high school. I mean, the power of that indoctrination over a short period of time is so palpable. We're gonna see that regularly. I mean,
the term pagan Sharia is right on the money. This is not where politics is a manifestation of my religious values, but it has operationally now become a religion. And so when I radicalize, then or I become zealous, that energy has to go somewhere. And if I don't get the result that I want through the system, then that can be used to justify going outside the system for the results that I want.
All right, next up we go to Clinton Shaw, who says, for tradition's sake and in honor of Lindsey Graham, Steve and Daniel really should have filmed this segment in a closet.
We did that once. Oh, no. We did that once in Dallas after the election, and the comments spilled forth, as you might imagine. Yes, but I'm going to sell on that. No, not going into the closet with Daniel or any other biological male. But thank you.
Next, I think we're all a sell on that. Jeff Burkhart says, we know more about Luigi, the just aforementioned Luigi Mangione, the CEO shooter. We know more about him than we do about Thomas Matthew Crooks, the math team Trump shooter, because one was close to the government.
I mean, which one are we saying? That Crooks was? Because I absolutely believe Crooks was.
Yeah.
I absolutely believe our government tried to assassinate Donald Trump twice. 100% believe it. 100%. 100%. So if we're saying that because Crooks is the one that's closer, then I'll buy. If it's the other one, if it's Luigi, I'll sell.
No, I agree with you.
Okay. Daniel?
Yeah, no, easy buy there. Because again, while I think they're not going to organize mass protests because they know at a corporate level, woke is on the decline, but they also understand the power of sowing chaos at an individual level. So there's no question that they're going to want to elevate more of this to have copycats.
Mm-hmm.
Next, we go to Cranky Hank, disser of politicians. If confirmed, nice. Trump's most promising disruptor personnel picks, Hegseth, Homan, Patel, RFK, etc., they'll turn out to be run-of-the-mill swamp creatures like all the rest.
I'm going to sell. I just can't believe that you'd go 0 for 5. Okay? Doesn't mean I think you'll go 5 for 5. It's human nature. You know, you don't really know sometimes what men will do when given that level of power, especially if they're untested with it like Pete Hegseth is. Okay? You know, that's why I said last week, I don't think we should give up on the Hegseth nomination because they'll just use that to not then nominate the rest of the guys on this list. On the other hand, if Ron DeSantis were Secretary of Defense, he'd make them wish they got Pete Hegseth, okay? Because he just does daily the stuff Hegseth has only talked about. Now, that's not an attack on Hegseth. I've been supportive of his nomination since the minute that it was made. I've liked that nomination, but he also has not been tested in the arena to the extent of DeSantis. So that's more of a statement about DeSantis as a known quantity than it is any kind of criticism of Hegseth. He just hasn't been in that seat yet. Okay. That being said, I just, going 5 for 5 is not realistic. Going 0 for 5 is just as unrealistic. All right. I look at somebody like RFK Jr., for example. This guy's already lost his family. He's lost much of his own family's access to his own family and its fortune. He's been completely cast aside from all the channels. He's a Kennedy, guys. He's a Kennedy. I mean, we've seen what it did psychologically to the Trumps to be disassociated from all of the elite circles that they were tied to. I mean, Trump spent most of his first term still trying to earn Maggie Haberman's approval. He's just now figured out they freaking tried killing him. He's never getting it, okay? And I think that's why you're seeing him govern differently at this point than he has in the past. RFK Jr. has suffered for what he believes at a level even way beyond almost anybody in this audience has. I mean, he's been excommunicated, literally, from a family. And not just any family. The closest thing American politics has ever had to a royal family. And he's been completely excommunicated. I would be beyond stunned. Beyond stunned. Would I be beyond stunned if Tom Homan turns out to be John Kennedy? Just a quip, the Senator John Kennedy, just a quip machine on Fox News and then gets in there, can't do the deed. I'd be disappointed, but I would not be stunned because I've seen that before, right? Would I be stunned if Pete Hegseth got in there and in the end, saying the thing ain't the same as doing the thing and managing a bureaucracy ain't the same as, speaking in sound bites on Fox News on the weekends and in the morning? Would I be disappointed? Yes. Surprised? No. Okay. But you're going to tell me RFK Jr., after getting completely shunned, excommunicated, he has lost everything of value that comes with being born as a Kennedy, lost it all, and now is going to get the divine payment for all of that suffering, and then after that is just going to ankle grab and quit? I'm sorry, I don't buy that at all, so I'm selling.
Yeah, I'm selling as well, but to the degree that there's failure across the board on some level, more of them fail than not. It is one of the biggest variable in all that will go beyond their particular efforts, mistakes to the people. If the people want this, the likelihood of them getting done, whatever is in their purview, goes way, way up. If the people are flaccid, distracted, easily manipulated, like they have a propensity to be, then all of a sudden you can just, the deep state can circle the wagons, the media can do what it does. We have a people problem. If the people decide they want to live in a different country, we'll live in it.
Daniel, where you at?
Yeah, no, I definitely sell. Largely for the dichotomy you made between RFK and maybe a guy like Homan. There's no way RFK could run HHS like the same old. It could underperform expectations, but there's no way that CDC could be putting out the exact same guidance about all vaccines all the time under him that it's been doing. I think, and not to criticize this submission here, but some of our people don't understand the subtlety of why we fail. And they don't understand 2017 and why I believe Trump's first administration failed and what it will take to be different. You're not going to have this like January, February, March 2025, all these guys just come and betray us. Mm-hmm. It's a matter of you'll do some temporary good things, but the enduring victories will hinge on a very narrow set of leverage points and focus. And my concern is that we don't have that there. The economy tanks, the left comes back, and then the few good things we did do get erased. That's my concern.
Yeah, if the economy tanks, the left will come back and all the good things we did will get erased. That's just the reality. That's why we keep saying to everybody on our show, whether I'm doing commercials or content, okay, take advantage of the moment right now. Do not just sit here. Let's go back to mentally masturbating to Fox News for 6 hours and owning the libs. This is not a perpetual victory here. We have got a moment right here to do some things that would matter in the long run, because much of the even if he economically did everything that if Donald Trump called Daniel Horowitz right now, said, hey, get off that schmuck Deace's show and I'm gonna make every economic move you want me to make. Even if he did that, the amount of forces that would still be beyond his control economically that could be brought to bear to destabilize his administration, and they'd probably do more of that rather than let Daniel Horowitz's theorems be tested in public to be valid and true and make an example of how much we've been defrauded, and it doesn't have to be this way, as you like to say, Daniel. They would even disrupt it all the more if he did that, for fear of allowing someone like you to establish credibility, which of a path of a true paradigm shift moving forward. We don't have an endless amount of time here. We have a window of time here that we must take advantage of right now.
No, and Steve, look, during Reagan's time, it took until 1983 for those policies to even work and turn it around. In the meantime, the plane was still tanking, still crashing. And
he had a bad midterm election in 82, for example. Yep. There was a lot of debate. Was the recession at that time on him or Jimmy Carter? Exactly right. Yes.
All right, next we go to China Compass. China has hacked our drones and is attempting to make fools of us and possibly spy on us with our own equipment.
I think this is a plausible hypothesis. I'm not sure it's the one I would choose, but I do think it's plausible, so I'll buy. I think there's a lot of plausible hypotheses actually here. Todd?
I'll buy for the exact same reason.
Daniel?
I would do the Lindsey Graham and hold just because we're in a holding pattern on this issue. We don't know. It's just the pattern of progression to the military installations from a highly concentrated trafficked area in the New York metro area just tells me it's our government doing it. But, so that's what I think is the most likely thing. But again, with the spy balloon, you got to entertain it.
All right, next we go to Captain Caldwell. Russia's new cancer vaccine doesn't actually do anything, or it starts a zombie apocalypse.
I'll buy. I think that's very possible. Not the zombie apocalypse, because I'm a Bible guy, but the idea that it would create some form of a dystopian healthcare outcome, if that's just a metaphor, not a precise, take it literal outcome. Okay, but do I think that it's more likely to cause a dystopia of some sort than a cure, I'll buy that. Yeah.
That is actually the MacGuffin of the Will Smith, what I mentioned.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. I'd forgotten about that. Yeah.
Bye.
I had forgotten about that. Yep.
That's not even a question. I mean, the more you inject, the more you infect, whatever it is. Our government just did that with the RSV shots. It turns out they created severe RSV with the Moderna mRNA they approved. So certainly the Russians will do that.
Next up, we go to John P. During the 3-week Christmas break from the show, something major will happen so big the three of you or Daniel will feel obligated to come back for one day to discuss it.
I'm going to buy that I think this is possible.
Yeah.
Based on some things we talked about privately and on the overtime yesterday that we're not going to discuss in any other public setting.
Yep.
I think this is possible.
You still have your basement studio set up, don't
I do.
you? Well, there you go.
I do. Yeah, I think it's possible.
Yep.
Buy.
There's too many things economically and national security wise that we're sitting on a tinder box.
I hope not. I did 241 shows this year.
Wait, what's with this 3 weeks? No one, I'm not getting 3 weeks off.
Yeah, we're not getting 3 weeks off.
19 days. It's pretty close to 3 weeks.
Oh, well.
Yeah, it's 19 days off. So I did 241 shows this year. It's the most I have ever done. I could use some time off. And it's Christmas. And it's been a hell of a year. But I'm going to buy that. I think this is the strongest possibility of this I've ever felt in my career when I've taken the end of the year off for Christmas. Yep.
See, I'm selling because if something big happens, it's probably an EMP and we're not going to be able to get content to you.
Ho, 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 and a bottle of rum. Yes, indeed.
Next, Science is Violence.
What a name.
Titles of books for men if written by Steve, Todd, and Aaron. Things Your Father Should Have Told You by Steve Deace.
Yes.
How to Not Suck by Todd Erzen.
Nice.
And How to Smoke Your Meat by Aaron McIntyre with foreword by Lindsey Graham. Hey, there's another stray. Appreciate
Finally,
that.
there's the roast. Excellent. We've arrived.
You need to catch a few more strays after what you pulled on us at the top of the show.
I didn't pull anything on
Here's
Grock
Elon Musk's AI endorsing me and crapping on you two. Yes. I'll buy, though. I liked it. Yeah, I liked it a lot.
Correct.
Daniel, are you a buy, Daniel, or a sell?
I already told you I'm buying any Lindsey Graham.
You're buying it all. Yes.
Gay is where it's at.
Yes. Daniel is gay for the stay right here. Yes, indeed.
Quickly before the break, Joel Larner says if Fetterman votes for Hegseth, he should move up to at least number 10 in the Senate power ranking.
Sure, why not?
He's number 12. We rated him the 12th best senator. I could move him up a couple more spots. Sure. I'll go 10. Bye.
At least he's not gay.
Yeah, at least as far as we know. Yeah, at least as far as we know. First of all, he dresses too poorly to be gay. I think we all recognize that. He dresses like one of us. All right? More in a moment. So the consternation and angst and stress that comes with an unplanned pregnancy is kind of inherent to the Christmas story, is it not? Where a young girl named Mary is concerned. And that is something, albeit for different reasons, that too many women feel as well. And that's why we have been partnering with PREBORN here the last few years on The Blaze, because PREBORN models the biblical model of persuasion, truth, and grace. Now, anytime you're going to bring truth to somebody, it requires a confrontation, and that's what PREBORN does. And it's not necessarily the kind of confrontation that I would do, or the style maybe that Daniel Horowitz does, but it's a confrontation nevertheless when a woman is willing to murder her child and you want to show her the heartbeat of her own kid at her conscience, confront it and say, are you sure you know what you're doing here? Are you sure about that? And then when the woman does make the choice for life, now they apply the grace. She's turned away from the mortal sin of murder that she was about to commit. And she's turned away from that now and turned towards life. And now this is where the grace comes in. And they're there to support that mom and her baby, sometimes for up to 2 years if she wants it after the baby is born. Prenatal care, postnatal care, even practical things like car seats and formula and diapers, or meta things like counseling. All this they do at PREBORN for the mom and her baby. All of it they do free of charge, although none of it is actually free. And this is where we come in. If you want to make that end of year tax deductible donation, a lot of you are thinking about right now, this time of year, few causes are better than PREBORN. Did you know for as little as $28 you could fund an ultrasound that might save a life today? So go to preborn.com/Steve. Make that tax-deductible donation today. Preborn.com/Steve. Again, that's preborn.com/Steve. All right, let's get back. One last round in 2024 of Buy, Sell, or Hold with our special guest, the prophet of woe and lamentation, Daniel Horowitz. Let's get it rolling, Aaron.
Tom Gabriel is next. The transfer portal will allow mid-season transfers within 5 years.
Sell. Within 5 years, they're all going to be under contracts, and it's going to operate like the National Football League. And just like you can't declare your contract void in the middle of the season and be a free agent, that won't happen here either. They're all going to be employees and under contract in 5 years.
Well, I'll buy as there's no limiting option on the insanity of this thing. So if what Steve says doesn't happen, it's certainly on the table. Give me one logical reason why this couldn't possibly happen under the current total lack of integrity and morality.
You're right. The one reason it couldn't is because if there's still the allure of academic requirements. There are drop dates of when you can drop classes and enroll in another school and things of that nature within the academic calendar. So they'd have to waive all of that. They're not going to do any of that. What they're going to do is just make them employees before it gets to that, and that's coming. That's why I gave the answer I did.
You have a take on this, Daniel?
Lindsey Graham. What's the transfer?
Nice.
Let's see. Country Squire is next.
Yes! Yes! It's one of my all-time favorite videos ever. Daniel, do you remember the Cambodian smoking toddler? Do you remember that video from back in the day? One of the very first viral videos. I mean, when I used to do my local Des Moines show, I would just have that on my computer in the background, just going for an entire shows on loop. Just right there on my screen. I could look at it whenever I wanted to. I freaking loved that video. Loved it. Yes.
Here it is. Here it is.
It's an all-time great. I mean, this kid is like a little Humphrey Bogart here, man. Dude is a master of disaster with that cancer stick, man. He is he's like a Jedi master of the lung dart. I mean, look at this. This is like Bogart and Bacall right here. All in one Cambodian toddler. This is incredible. Look at that. Just the cool, and the flick of the ash. Are you kidding me with this? Dude, this is like Cambodian, detective noir kind of stuff right here. Oh, dude, the double light? I forgot there was a double light. Insane. This is just, that is some high cotton right there. Can I just say? I need it now. It is officially now. Officially Merry Christmas. Did you guys just sense the energy level and it just go up with me just watching that again? Yes.
It's like Kirk Gibson's home run. You could watch that 100 times.
Yes. I don't believe what I just saw. Yes.
I just call all the children are coming and sitting at his feet just to
show us your ways.
Yes.
And of course, he can't only say 3 words. Yes.
King of the children there.
Yes.
Country Squire says, we should be concerned that the Maha movement to remove additives and dyes from food will result in a tax on cheap processed foods that are heavily used by blue-collar folks, similar to tobacco being taxed and not banned.
So here's the thing. Then what do you want us to do, okay? It's like we can't do anything. It'll cause. Then what do you want then? So do nothing? So do nothing, okay? I mean, can you help me on this, Mr. Policy? So we do nothing then? We do nothing.
So this is a very deep discussion, and it permeates so many issues that we have nowadays. You have to have limiting principles in terms of how you go about doing it, what you do. It's not just a free-for-all. But the problem is our goal is a free market, right? So when you're coming in and it's inverted, if I just say I'm for the status quo, you're not for the free market. Because we have regulatory capture. The government spent years pushing a lie of a food pyramid, pushing against meats and animal fats and all this stuff. You have to get to the bottom of it. And then also, if nothing else, I don't think we necessarily need to push regulatory stuff. But like I've said, and which is why I'm bullish about HHS, you don't even need to pass laws out of Congress. It's just a matter of what does CDC do? They disseminate information. So rather than disseminate crap, disseminate good stuff like Latipo is doing. Mm-hmm. Latipo didn't ban fluoride in the water there. He just said it's a toxin. and I wouldn't use it.
So I think you make an important point, because this idea that we just let the free market decide, we don't have a free market. Maybe the option that could do the most damage with the least amount of collateral damage or trade-off is if you just then decided if that we're just going to, like the Latipo example you just used, we're just going to disclose everything to the public, not whatsoever. But and that would have some advantages, but you're still dealing with corporations that have such massive market caps in these industries. The idea that just something within the free market that would rise up in the interim to compete with them is not reality. It's not the reality of the world in which we're in. Okay, and so you need forces that you can play off of one another that bring the same amount of weight to bear on each other to truly pressure one another. I don't believe these companies that have these huge market shares give a rip about some entrepreneurial startup that's on a conservative podcast about how they're going to, send the stuff to your home that will be good natural food, which is great. And we've promoted a lot of those products here on our show, and they're good and they're great businesses, and they're good service to our listeners. They're also no threat to big ag and big pharma or anything of that nature. And there's no critical mass of them that would be a threat. So then you start thinking to yourself, well, what's an entity that would actually threaten them? I can only come up with one other one, Daniel. And it's not the one I want to use as a conservative, but the only one I can think of is government. That's the only one.
Same entity that empowered them.
Correct. Because the reason why they had that market share is government granted it to them. So I guess we're going to probably need government then to take away what it gave in the first place. And the idea that we're just going to let the free market decide, I mean, those kinds of companies don't have the critical mass to get on the air and on the Super Bowl and market their stuff like the other companies are. So we're just going to have to understand to some degree, my opinion, everybody can have their own, but the traditional right-left remedies of these things I think are largely obsolete. That doesn't mean, by the way, we just become liberty-minded statists. I'm not advocating for that. But what I am saying is it's the traditional Cato Institute model here of how we've proceeded in the past is irrelevant. And we're beyond that now. Some form of government power will have to be levied to counter all the power that government gave these businesses in the private sector in the first place.
Breaking news. You probably didn't. Maybe you just saw it now. Your tweet about DOGE and how this is the first inflection point after the election, Daniel, that was reposted and quote tweeted by Vivek, who says the bill should fail. And then Vivek's tweet was then reposted by Elon Musk and said, yes. That's some advertising for you there, Daniel.
Even with Grock. I mean,
my goodness.
I mean,
that is some high quality grifting, Daniel Horowitz. Nice job.
I look forward to lone conservative remaining 14 with a Florida Gator and a DeSantis 2028 in their bio, now littering my comments to say I had to give up on Horowitz. He's a complete grifter being retweeted by Vivek.
It's funny. I just trashed him on my show today.
I just want to add one more thing to the previous conversation. It's worse than all that. If you're coming from a decent place, you're like, this might be unfair to a particular class of people that is already stretched. I can embrace that sentiment on some level, and I appreciate everything Steve and Daniel said because they're right. But ultimately, we are dealing with highly addictive behavior that even if you tax, this is what I'm talking about. I've taught you this for a long time about the magical power of vaccines. People just don't want to look through. It's probably poisoning us. I just can't even embrace it. This is my point with sports pro and college football. This is obviously the worst this product has ever been, and people are more drunk on it than ever. Okay, we have to understand these relationships, and you're not the amount you are going to have to tax Doritos or whatever we're talking about to actually get people to stop eating this stuff. It makes it actually takes it off the table as a reasonable discussion. We're dealing with addictive, not just like biologically, psychologically, emotionally, and that's at the heart of a lot of this. People don't want to change. They like the slum they're living in.
So this is a great example for our last partner today. So let me talk about Patriot Mobile, then we'll finish rapid fire on this, because I'm a living example of what you were just talking about. I sat here for several years talking about Patriot Mobile and how great they were on our show. You met the people that help, work high up in the company and everything else. But why didn't I make the switch right away? I thought it was going to be a big hassle. I mean, I know T-Mobile hates me, but I've been with them since I first got a mobile phone in 2000, and we've got multiple accounts and numbers, and it's just going to be a massive hassle. So the whole time I'm here talking about how great Patriot Mobile is, and I really believe in their mission and what they're trying to do, I'm still like, I'm just lazily thinking this is just going to be a major hassle. I don't want to make that change. Same thing you just said. But then we all have the moment. There is always a moment where eventually there's an epiphany, and you're just like, I can't do this anymore. And one day, T-Mobile sends out a text, a mass text message to all of their users, saying they're going to start censoring text messages for COVID misinformation. And that for whatever, something just clicked the right sector of the brain. Finally, no, enough. And I just got a hold of Patriot Mobile that afternoon. We made the switch that day. We've never looked back. Could have made that switch 2-3 years before we did. Just kept giving our money to people who hate us anyway, because it was the path of least resistance hardwired into the brain. Exactly what you're talking about. So, and that's at least one positive of this election. We were beginning to wonder, was there anything that they could do that the normies would finally say, we got to stop doing stuff like this? We were beginning to wonder. At least in this election, we got somewhat of a positive answer. But ultimately, yeah. I mean, we have to be willing to break our own paradigms if we're going to break some of the paradigms that are breaking us, right? Make that switch today with our friends at Patriot Mobile. You're never going to look back. You're never going to look back. It's a great service. They have a fantastic customer service team. They'll customize it for you, whether it is a phone you want to upgrade or keep, or a number you want to switch or keep. They'll do all of that for you. They'll start you off with a free month of service. If you use my last name, Deace, as your promo code, when you go to patriotmobile.com/Steve. Actually, it's promo code Steve. My bad. Promo code Steve at patriotmobile.com/Steve. Promo code Steve. That'll get you a free month of service to get you started today at patriotmobile.com/Steve.
Hey, Daniel, how's your Twitter?
I can't even believe I was making fun at a DOGE, and he retweeted, and then Elon responded to another thing I did. I wrote, the biggest form of election fraud is when you vote for ours and out pops D policy results. He's like, 100%. I mean, look, I'll take it. I mean, this is the thing. I'll take yes for an answer. What a way to end off the year.
Yeah.
It's a Christmas miracle, Daniel.
Yep. I think what you're finding out, I think Elon Musk is serious about DOGE.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean that he seriously, completely understands what he's going to truly be up against if he's serious about it. But I think he is absolutely serious about it, at least for now, for sure.
All right.
Rapid fire. Let's roll.
Next up, we go to Thomas Hinshaw with the Trump-Vance train barreling down the track in 2026. The GOP gains 2 governorships. Also, Senate gets 60 Republicans. House gets to 225 Republicans. All these new governors, senators, representatives will truly be a real Trumpian conservative office holder.
I think, listen, I'm optimistic after this election, but this is not easy. Going up your leg stuff, or you're satirizing us. I don't know. So, but I'll sell.
So, stop.
So, I mean, it's more likely that every Republican will have to engage in sodomy as a prerequisite to run for a primary.
There it is.
Then I mean, that end of the spectrum, then the other one. They will.
There's baby New Year. There he is.
And they'll lose the governorships.
Yes.
Next, Paul Sherman says, overwhelmed by the comfort felt after the election win, Todd traded his Miracle-Made sheets for sheets made out of Brillo pads.
Hard buy. Absolutely. You bet. Certain level of comfort Todd just cannot tolerate. Yes. Bye.
Christian Aponte says Bill Belichick will take UNC that's North Carolina, to the college football championship within 3 years.
Sell. It's just way more variation than before with 12 teams. I'll just play the odds that it won't happen. So.
Yeah, but the odds, I agree with that, but mathematically, the odds just went up astronomically.
100% I agree with that.
Happen.
I agree with that too. Yeah.
Hayaduin says, if government shuts down, it has absolutely no negative impact on our daily lives. It, in fact, might actually improve things at this point.
I'll let you answer this first, Daniel.
Dude, if you shut it down for the next month, they're spending every hour trying to grift off the Green New Deal and get contracts out the door. All that shuts down. And frankly, they're off for Christmas anyway and half the week. So nothing changes. But in other words, it's not just something we should be willing to do despite the shutdown. The shutdown would have utility at this time of year.
That's what the drones want you to think.
I was just going to give whatever answer Daniel gave. All right. So that's his answer. All right,
yes. Bye.
Yeah, you bet.
Jerry Davis says the new Republican Congress will do nearly as poor a job as the last time they controlled Congress, and because of it, we will see a blue wave or wedding in 2026, and oddly, Republicans and most conservatives will be shocked by that result. Oh, and Merry Christmas.
This is get rid of...
I think that goes too far the other way, so I'm going to sell on both of them.
Get rid of the whole polling and sports, bro. This isn't be a citizen. Give governing a chance. Stop this. Stop it. It's cancer.
I'm going to sell on both of those. I think they're
agree
both
with
too
you,
far.
Todd, but I'd buy it. If you offer it to me, I'm going to buy.
Finally, really quick, Mike Rader, top 5 list of actors that could play Lindsey Graham: Mark Ruffalo, Nathan Lane, Kevin Spacey, Elliot Page, and Ellen DeGeneres.
There
Buy,
it is.
sell, or hold.
Well done.
Buy. Elliot Page for sure. Elliot Page is Lindsey Graham for sure. Thank you, brother. Good to see you as
Daniel.
always. We'll see you in
Merry
25.
Christmas, Happy New Year.
Same to you,
Take
brother.
care.
Thank you. And same to all of you as well. We're back at it again tomorrow, noon to 2 Eastern. The year-end Deace group. You don't want to miss it. Until then, Romans 8:28.